Hello and welcome to Market Insights. I am Lovina Emah. It's TGIF. Thank God it's Friday and I'm glad to be here. So today on Market Insights, we are shining our lights on Nigeria's game changer in the oil industry. And today's focus is on the Dangote Refinery. Now, this mega refinery promises to be a major disruptor, but will it translate to lower petrol prices for Nigerians? The Dangote Refinery is a massive undertaking, and it has the capacity to process over 650,000 barrels of crude oil per day. It's not just Africa's biggest refinery, it is poised to make Nigeria self-sufficient in refined petroleum products. Now, this means less reliance on expensive imports, potentially leading to a reduction in petrol pump prices at the pump, right here in Nigeria. However, there are some hurdles to consider. First of all is the global crude oil prices. Now, this plays a significant role. Even with domestic refining, there are fluctuations in the international markets, and this can impact pump prices. Secondly, the success of this venture hinges on efficient distribution and government policies. So after the break, my guest and I will discuss how Dangote's refinery has the potential to change Nigeria's future in terms of petroleum exports, and also to stop Nigeria from importing petroleum products, and also to reduce the current price of petrol at the pump rather. So now I'm going to introduce my guest who is in the studio with me, and his name is Mr. Sam Orovwuje. He's a director at the Center for Public Policy, and he's going to discuss this achievement of Dangote Refinery and how it's going to be a major game changer in Nigerian petroleum sector. So welcome to Market Insights, Mr. Sam.
Good morning, Lovina. Great to be here.
I'm happy to see you too. And it's Friday, so I guess we're all geared up for the weekend. Yes, thank God it's Friday.
Must conclude business.
Yes.
Before close of Friday.
Certainly. It's great to have you on the program.
Thank you.
Okay, so now, as I mentioned earlier, now Dangote Refinery, does it really have what it takes to reduce the price of petrol at the pump for most Nigerians? Yes, we were all excited at the launch of this refinery, but does it have what it takes for us to be, for the refinery to be refining petroleum and then selling it at a reduced price at the pump?
All right. Before I answer your question in specific term, I'll provide some little background. When that refinery was commissioned sometime last year at the twilight of the Buhari administration, I recall the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, actually used the word that this project that is being commissioned will be a game changer in the oil and gas sector in Nigeria. Whether that will be achieved in the short or long term remains to be seen. But looking at that kind of massive investment that has the capacity to refine 650,000 barrels daily is a massive investment. Whether that will affect the price at which refined products will be sold will be determined essentially by the forces of supply and demand in the market. But no doubt that the Dangote Refinery, in views of many Nigerians, will be a game changer when you look at it vis-a-vis the current scenario where importation of refined products has become a major challenge in that sector. And Dangote, a few days ago, in the Bahamas, actually spoke to the challenge of trying to put up that facility. And he categorically mentioned in that event that at the point of planning and implementation, most of the oil cartel were finding it difficult to see how this facility will come on stream. So vis-a-vis that comment by Dangote in Bahamas just a few days ago shows the importance on the impact of the Dangote Refinery and how it will shape pricing in terms of petroleum products. Whether the prices will be remarkably reduced is a different ballgame for discussion.
Yes, but we can't really say. Thank you for that background into this. Yes, but we can't really predict exactly how far low the price will be reduced as to when the refinery starts selling refined petroleums to Nigerians. Okay, now most operators are of the opinion that they estimate that prices might reduce from what we currently have at 620, or in some petrol stations at 650, to perhaps 300 naira when Dangote's refinery starts selling the refined product. So do you agree with this?
That might be difficult to comment on. For me, that is in the realm of speculation. But if you look at it vis-a-vis importation and local refined products, the margin in terms of what eventually will go into the market will be different from what is imported. And that Dangote underscore at the Africa Export in Bank annual summit that is ongoing in the Bahamas. But then if you look at even Dangote statement a few months ago, when they released the refined diesel into the market, the Dangote diesel was selling for about 1,200 vis-a-vis the other market forces, which sold for 1,700. You can see,
or 1,800.
Yes, you can see those margins, and I think that naturally crashed the price. So, based on the benefit of hindsight, there's a thinking that by July, when this refined product finds their way into the local market, then based on competition and pricing, the market will react positively to the product that will be released in the market. But for now, we cannot say for sure whether it will be sold for 200, 250, 300. That would be a dangerous speculation to make based on market intelligence. So, but we know in terms of logistics, if you're importing an item that has cost, freight, and insurance, and somebody is putting this product refined into the market, logistics will be recovered in terms of how that product goes into the filling stations. In that regard, therefore, yes, there will be improvement in the pricing.
Okay, well said. Thank you for that, Mr. Sam. Okay, now, so a reduction in petrol price, yes, it's not something the private marketers can just dictate. It also needs the government's intervention, and where the government comes in, it's in terms of crude oil supply, since Nigeria is a major crude oil supplier now. So now, if crude oil is supplied in large quantities, so for example, Dangote's refinery now, the prices may not remain so high, like in the case of what happened in diesel. So that's why I'm still going further on this to say if there's adequate supply of crude oil to the refinery, definitely it will hasten the process, and it won't be as what we are currently paying right now.
Yeah, Lovina, mind you, when you talk about petroleum products, they are priced internationally. So you must take cognizance of the pricing that whatever crude that Dangote we get either from Nigeria or elsewhere, that product is priced in an international currency, which is the dollar. So you must take cognizance of that. That is an international product. Number two, to what extent with the local supply gets into the Dangote refinery, because initial some of his products were sourced as far as the United States of America. So you must take cognizance of these vagaries in terms of supply chain that will go into the refinery before those products are distilled and we see them as a refined product. So we must look at the various dimensions that will shape the pricing. The raw commodity for the refined product is priced in dollars. So you must take cognizance of that. And that's why I mentioned earlier that even when these products are refined locally, because the product, the crude, is not priced in Naira. So it's still going to get a crude component at the international price level. And that's why I mentioned that logistics will be the major game changer in terms of the expectation from the market. But the beauty of it as well is that this will improve on competition, and the beneficiary will be the purchasing public. That's the citizens of Nigeria. On the other hand, this will be an impetus even to some other modular refineries wanting to take advantage of the market as well. Even Dangote himself underscored that even the Dangote Refinery has a positive impact in some of his own industries, particularly the agro park industry that had a challenge in terms of importation of raw material, and that these raw materials are now being abundant. We serve as raw materials for some of his industry, and this again will impact on the Nigeria economy and the market in general.
Okay, well said. Yes, okay, now that being said, how will Dangote's refinery output affect Nigeria's reliance on imported fuel, and what are the implications for the country's trade balance?
I think the beauty of it is that one of the challenges we've had for the last 35 years or so is that the four major refineries that we have in the country are in comatose. Therefore, there's over-reliance on importation of this product. So when you look at cost, freight, and insurance, which is a component of the cargoes that bring those raw material into the country, when they land at the Apapa wharf, whatever wharf they get into, automatically by the time you pour the product into the pump for dispensing to the public, then the pricing regime has become a problem. We talked about the subsidy removal impacting negatively. So if Dangote Refinery is managed optimally, and in terms of the production capacity, in terms of utilization of that facility, which is 650,000 barrels per day, if they're able to meet that kind of supply into that refinery, I think it will impact positively on the Nigeria economy, the pricing, and then the competition. We have no other option to see how they can compete favorably with Dangote as one of the major players in the market. And note also that Dangote will equally export some of his refined product to other countries. And this will be a source of earning to Dangote as a business. Then some other earnings will come in terms of excise duty, custom duty, whatever duties that the government will get in terms of exporting that commodity. And if you look at the derivatives of some of those products that will come into the market, we reduce our reliance on imported items. Then if you look at it globally, in terms of the opportunity it will portend for employment, I think it's a very massive game changer for the Nigerian economy, in my view.
Okay, yes, I'm looking forward to that happening. He said the refinery will start, that is refining our local crude oil products here in Nigeria from July. So I think it's something to be expectant about. Okay, so now let's talk about the economic benefits of this. Now, as we know, Nigeria's GDP is something that every economist like yourself also wants to increase. It's also do well for us in this country. So now, what are the expected economic benefits of Dangote's refinery, and how will it contribute to Nigeria's GDP?
I think in my last conversation, I already tried to make
yes,
some positive impact on the economy, but we can reiterate them. Number one, because you are producing locally,
yes,
there's a likelihood that you're going to improve on the employment levels, which will impact positively on the economy. Number two, you improve on logistics supplies, and that's to a very large extent, will force competition as well to reduce their price, which will help as well in terms of the current situation where people are growing on the the price at which they get fuel from the pump station. In terms of backward integration, which I mentioned, Dangote himself underscore this point, that even his own refinery will impact positively in some of his other businesses by some of the derivatives or byproduct beyond petroleum refined products that will come from that facility. Therefore, the amount of money that even Dangote Industries, in quotes, use in terms of looking for dollar to import items into the Nigerian economy will reduce, and that will improve on our foreign reserve. Then two, the activities of these companies, even within the Dangote conglomerate, will improve the efficiency in terms of some of the derivatives that come from that product. So, all things considered, it will impact positively on the economy in terms of job opportunities, in terms of the competitive landscape where imported items, particularly petroleum products, are the rooftop. So when you have a local manufacturer that's going to take advantage of its economical scale, that will impact positively on the economy. And if you look at it from the point of view contribution to GDP, I think by the end of 2024, by the time we're looking at the figures and the contribution of Dangote Refinery to the national economy, be able to see some percentage rise, which will impact positively on the country economy as well. And I think Dangote himself will equally be smiling to the bank because these new opportunities he will take advantage of. And I'm sure, like he said, the cartel in that industry, both local and international, we're trying to frustrate his efforts in that project. That speaks to the importance and the impact that refinery will have. And that's why this concept of your discourse today, or your topic, Dangote Refinery, is it a game changer for Nigerians? I think it's worldwide, but it will be too early in the day to speculate the actual pricing. But if you look at the sum aggregate of what we have in terms of aggregate demand for the product, and I think it will impact positively on the system.
Okay. There's a whole lot to look forward to. Okay, yes, thank you for that, by the way. Okay, now, so beyond just meeting domestic demands in Nigeria, now the refinery, that's Dangote Refinery, is also, it could position Nigeria as a regional fuel exporter that's within this continent, Africa. So how can Nigeria leverage this position to negotiate favorable trade deals and secure a larger percentage in the oil markets?
Well, while the government has some little stake in that business, this is entirely a private sector initiative, and that investment is driven essentially by profitability. So the man has put so much money, so he's there to make money. So when he makes money, the only thing the government can benefit is in terms of taxation and some other benefits in terms of duties when exports are made. Whether that is positioned as a regional player, as a continental player, as a global player, remain within the visibility of the business itself, that Dangote Refinery. So we cannot assume that status as a government, but as a business, if their strategy is to play as a regional dominant player in terms of refined products, and the regional market is one of their first markets, then it will impact on the region. And this idea of smuggling refined petroleum products into the neighboring country from the custom perspective may be somewhat controlled because if genuine businesses are going to import from Dangote rather than importing from the global north, the distance in terms of getting the products will equally affect the pricing in those other countries. So if it's going to play as a regional hub, then I think they will take advantage of that, and the market will be there for them to exploit to their own business advantage. And its profitability forecast will be okay for them as a business. But to what extent the government want to lay claim to a private sector investment remain to be seen. But in terms of its benefit to the country as a whole, providing jobs, making the product to be more competitive for those who use the product, that will be good in the final analysis for everybody in the country.
Still going further on the discussion, Mr. Sam. Yes, so we know, yes, you've mentioned so many benefits of what we Nigerians as a country, and also Nigeria, the citizens of this country stand to gain from when Dangote Refinery starts selling the refined products in the country now. But now, as you mentioned earlier on, the price of crude oil at the international market is at $87 per barrel now. So that being said now, and we still know that for the time being till July, which is next month, we're still importing crude oil into the country. So the exchange rate right now, since Dangote is still, let's just still talk about that part, since he's still importing now, the exchange rate is still affecting the price of what we sell fuel at in Nigeria now. So is there a way that the governments could actually aid in Nigerians with this currency? If you could just recommend a way they could help Nigerian citizens to perhaps have this price to be reduced. Yes, we know at the international market, that's a factor that dictates how much we sell petrol here in Nigeria. But if we could also, if the governments could also look into it, what would you recommend?
No, the basic economics state that whatever you do in the marketplace is determined by demand and supply. So, and these products are priced internationally. So Dangote will still get the crude if he gets from Nigeria, the international market. And like I said earlier, the advantage is that if you buy within the country, the shipment just come in almost by the back door. So you're not going to really spend so much money. That will affect the pricing regime. Whether Dangote will be able to meet with the local demand capacity in the immediate is a different thing entirely. So what that means is that if Dangote is producing optimally based on the stock capacity of 650,000 barrels per day, and they're able to get that same crude in, then naturally those who are importing will be forced to put their price down. And if Dangote is able to eventually meet up with the demand, therefore, the need for importation may be contentious at a point. But I don't think in the nearest future that Dangote will be able to meet that demand. And mind you, like he said himself, this is not our own statement. He made this statement at an international forum. That's the African Export-Import Bank to the first annual general meeting at the Bahamas just 2 days ago, that the cartels are trying to frustrate him. So if he's able to overcome those challenges, then there will be uhuru, as the Swahili people says at the end of the day. So in that regard, therefore, whether those crudes are priced internationally, and once they're able to be refined locally, and some of these local distribution company are able to access Dangote, I'm sure there will be no need to import, because the cost of importation will affect their business negatively. Therefore, they had no option than to patronize the Dangote Refinery. To what extent Dangote is going to be able to meet up with the demand remain to be seen in terms of their own capacity utilization and their ability to supply the refined product to various dealers.
Okay. Okay, that's very well. Thank you for that. Well said, Mr. Sam. Okay, now so yes, you mentioned yes, like during that event, he also talks about how there are some cartels trying to sabotage his efforts. Now with what's going on, this new development in Nigeria that the refinery will start from July next month to start selling out the refined petroleum products. Now we know that. Can we just expatiate further on this now that there are people who are benefiting from Nigeria importing petroleum products? So that taking stock of what he said at that event and also the fact that he had mentioned this at some other at some other events also now. So how can the government take charge of the situation and how can they actually provide a solution to this? Because this is also one of the challenges that he faces with this refinery.
Yes, I think the people on the other side of government must be looking at themselves in a way that what they could not fix in the last 35 years, an individual is able to do something. So the challenge here, first and foremost, is that those who are running public institutions within the NNPC conglomerate, which is now a limited liability company, that has not been able to fix the Port Harcourt refinery, the Warri refinery, and the Cardinal refineries that they have promised, hopefully by the end of this year, those things will come on stream. And by end of 2024, if we don't see these refineries working, then something must be wrong somewhere with those who are managing those government institutions. So I think, like Lai Mohammed said sometime last year, a Dangote refinery is a game changer. And let's see how this refinery will really be a game changer, not just as a production company. Let's see how this game changing will affect the capacity of the other refineries to put product in the marketplace. And we see how healthy competition can benefit the citizen. Those who are even into modern refinery, there are some in Delta.
Yes.
There's one in a place called Ologbo in Edo State. That's almost based on the media scan in the last 6 months, almost 19 to 95% ready. And when we see the interplay of the competitive scene from the government owned refineries, the modular refineries, vis-a-vis Dangote, and let's see how competition can benefit the citizen. Once that competition can benefit the citizen, then we can comfortably say at the end of the day that Dangote Refinery is really the game changer in Nigeria oil and gas. But it will be too early in the day to say it's all uhuru by the time we cross over to the end of July, where the other products in terms of petrol or PMS come into the market. The diesel is already in the marketplace, and we saw what that did to that product when he put diesel in the market at 1,200 vis-a-vis the exchange rate. I'm sure that those who imported diesel to a very large extent will have made some marginal losses. And in that regard, I'm sure everybody will be crossing their T's and dotting their I's in a way that they will shift their investment to see how they can patronize Dangote. Though we're not advertising Dangote here, we're just using it as so that the advert people don't give us a bill. But what is important is that it will change the market massively.
Yes, yes. Okay, yes. Apart from yes, it will change the market massively, and with the current cost of things in the economy, transportation, power, trying to do your business, it's quite expensive. So if something like fuel can be reduced, the price of fuel at the pump can be reduced, a lot of Nigerians will be very happy about this. So now, how will the refinery's output impact the environment, and what measures are in place to mitigate any negative consequences?
All right, the refineries is located at the Lekki
The free trade zone.
Free Trade Zone. I'm sure before that massive investment came into fruition, environmental impact assessment were made. That company has a community relation department. The way they will engage with the host community is dependent on the kind of mechanism in terms of corporate social responsibility or corporate accountability that the company has put in place, and to what extent would they relate with the host community in a manner that is mutually beneficial. Therefore, in terms of employment, those people that are contiguous to that plant must find a way to benefit. Two, everything that will impact negatively on the environment in terms of what the production will impact must be minimized, that it doesn't affect the ecosystem first and foremost. There must be a clear-cut corporate social responsibility beyond just giving handouts to the community. So cottage industries that can take advantage of the refinery, some medical services, some social housing elements must be packaged by that business in a sustainable manner that will not jeopardize that business in the long run. So the discussion we're making, or the point I'm making, is that they must have a robust engagement strategy in terms of host community relationship beyond just dishing out handouts, taking photographs of people supporting local festivals and all that. It must be very impactful, and business must know that the ecosystem, in terms of measuring social responsibility, have moved beyond where you just give a handout. So you have civil society organizations that can measure the outcomes of your social responsibility in real time on the impact on the ecosystem first and foremost, on the people and the community around that plant. So once they are able to manage that relationship, then the business in a sustainable manner will grow in leaps and bounds, and it will impact the entire Nigeria economy. But they must be very strategic in the way they manage their community engagement, particularly on the impact on the environment.
Yes, I believe there will be lots of CSR in play with a lot of projects they'll be doing in these communities. I'm just putting that there. I'm sure.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is beyond just the project. There's a new philosophy in terms of corporate social responsibility that has a leg of sustainability, and that you don't do your corporate philanthropy the way they used to do it. You take a 2-center spread in a newspaper, you put a little pipe-borne water.
No.
The CSR is beyond this element. Yeah. Those outcomes can be measured. If you are polluting the environment, there are indices at which people can Shell in the last 40 years is always in court, outside the court, try to see how they can settle issues with their host community. So the advisory for Dangote Refinery is that this is a strategic business arm that must be taken seriously, that the community itself can jeopardize the gain of the business if that ecosystem is not properly managed.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Sam. Okay, now, so this transition that we're about to undergo from this transition to a domestic refining giant could have ripple effects in our economy. So not just in our relations with our international markets that we're buying this petroleum products from. So how might this impact Nigeria's existing relations with traditional fuel exporters?
No, for example, I think in terms of bilateral relations, in terms of what?
Okay, like, we are going to hopefully become a major fuel exporter. So we're going to join, yes, bilaterally, like you just mentioned. Now, how would this we're going to be transitioning with the aid of Dangote's refinery.
Permit me to quickly just respond to this. The transitioning, I don't see anything about transitioning. Like I mentioned earlier in this conversation, is a private business, so it's in the competitive space. So once people can take advantage of what we call factor endowment, and these products are refined locally, and you don't need to look to importation. And I think it's better, even for the sub-region, if Dangote become a regional player, even within Africa, in terms of exporting refined product, that will improve the African continent as a whole and reduce this over-dependence on importation, which I think is not positive to our economic growth. So, like he said, the challenge is that some of these cartel may not want the refinery to work so that they can perpetuate their importation business, which is not to the advantage of the country. So this cohort of cartel that he spoke about, the government must find a way in one breath to see how we can manage this relationship and take advantage of a local business that will help to improve on the economy, particularly where we can earn some export income, which will impact on the government revenue as well. Why the profitability goes into the business, people are gainfully employed, then it will impact the local economy, and we can benefit as a people. So, and I think Dangote, as a businessman, should have strategy to see how he will be able to curtail the people he spoke about 2 days ago.
Okay. I believe that all that is already in position right now. Okay, now this project is significant because it's Nigeria's existing, but the issue is Nigeria's existing infrastructure now. Can it handle the smooth distribution of refined petroleum products, or will bottlenecks emerge?
I don't think any bottleneck emerge because when they import them, they just bring them to the wharf or the port, and they are discharged. So those facilities are already there. We equally have some export facilities already in place, and I'm sure the Dangote Refinery itself has a jetty line just opposite the refinery, and I'm sure that those facilities will be used when those who want to buy the products come onshore to see how they can take these goods away from her. So I don't see any major bottleneck. The bottleneck Dangote has already identified, which he put in the public space at an international annual event of the Africa Export-Import Bank that is ongoing in the Bahamas. A major trade relationship between the African Export Bank and that of the Caribbean, trying to see how we can take advantage of that destination and hub to see how Africans can benefit from their brothers that are in the Caribbean and see how they can pull in businesses that can benefit. And Dangote is in that event, and I'm sure that he's equally exploiting some opportunities for his own business, where ministers and head of government are meeting at the African Export Bank annual meeting.
Okay, the reason I asked that is because, every now and then we always have issues of fuel queues in Nigeria. It comes up every now and then, and we hear different parties from the marketers.
Sometimes those queues are in a panic mode because Nigeria sometimes, once you hear there's a small gap, everybody is trying to get those fuel, which are not really necessary, because at the end of the day, how much fuel can you really store in terms of usage? I'm sure by the time Dangote Refinery becomes fully operational, some of this panic buying will be a thing of the past, in my view. And let's see how Port Harcourt, Warri, Kaduna can come on stream, and those other modular refineries dotted around the Niger Delta can equally impact in terms of the refined products that push into the market. And let's see how we can reduce importation and save more foreign earning for the country.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Sam. Okay, now, just before we round up the program now, so now the future. Now, what is the future outlook for the refinery and how will it shape Nigeria's energy landscape in the coming years?
It's too early. This is a new project, a massive project. It will be early to conclude. Let's see. The diesel aspect of it was already in the marketplace. So let's see how they navigate their business environment, how they put the refined product into the market. But the future is bright. For somebody to put that massive investment in place, they will have done their feasibility, viability, and the business environment, and what impact it will make on their bottom line as a business. So in that regard, therefore, the future may be bright for the company, but I think we should concentrate more on the brightness in terms of outlook for the Nigeria economy, in terms of the job it will create, in terms of the reduction on the imported item, and in terms of the revenues that are derivable from export of those refined products that will not translate into revenue for the government.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Mr. Sam. Yes, we have really gone in depth into this issue. Okay, so still further on this now. Yes, you've mentioned the parts our government has to play in this, and also the parts the owner of the refinery is also going to play in this whole project to see that it is sustained and it can going, like you said, we're expectant about this whole thing, but still going forward now, we've seen the success with diesel. Can we also see the same thing being applied to something like kerosene?
Well, if you look at the entire value chain, I think they were doing some experiment in terms of the production. And I'm sure all those production line, once they are fully operational and once efficiency in terms of utilization of their capacity, then it will impact massively on all the products, the byproducts and the main products of the refinery. When you have a process of distillation process, you have the main products, you have other derivatives beyond the PMS that some of us talk about. So you have some plastic products coming from that environment as well. And some other products as the derivative for some other industry within the Lekki free trade zone that they can take advantage in terms of the industrial hub that the Lagos State has put in place in that corridor, business corridor. And it will impact even Lagos as a government in terms of revenue, and not to talk about the federal government.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us this morning, Mr. Sam Orovwuje, who is a director for Center for Public Policy, as we talked about the potentials of the Dangote Refinery and how it has the possibility of changing the pump price of petroleum here in Nigeria. So thank you for joining us this morning on Market Insights. It's always great having you on the program.
You have given a clean bill to Dangote. I hope you're able to get a rate to him. We have really spoken much about Dangote today. So thank you very much indeed. My pleasure.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, so now, as we've heard our guest, yes, the Dangote Refinery is a promising development for Nigeria's oil sector. But as we know, still going further, we're optimistic that everything it entails will come to fruition. So that's, we're looking forward to that happening in the country, coupled with the fact that Nigerians need to heave a sigh of relief. We have inflation, which is very high. We also have food inflation high also. The cost of living is generally high, but with a reduction, hopefully, in the price of petroleum, we could definitely breathe some relief in all of this. So thank you so much for watching Market Insights this morning. It's always great to discuss these issues that affect our economy. So I look forward to discussing more of these issues with you. Please share your comments on our discussions what we had from Monday till today, Friday, and definitely we'll look into more of how to resolve more of Nigeria's economic issues. Thank you so much for watching the program. I am Lovina Emah.